All right. Well, welcome everyone to the Smart Table Virtual User Group. I am Heather Lamb, and I'm super excited that we're getting these back going along. So I hope that today will help you better understand the table, but also hopefully the table toolkit just a bit better. So we're going to go ahead and get started because I've got hopefully a few things that will fill our time today. And let me get going. I am recording this session, and so if you, and I'll show you where I'll be posting everything, so if you need to go back and review it, I highly encourage you to do so. So I am Heather Lamb. I think since the last time that we did these, I was an education consultant, and in April of this past year, I actually moved into a new role with SMART, and I'm now a marketing manager, but took the webinars with me. So some of you are familiar with the educator to educator webinars that I facilitate. I took those in my new role, and I'm kind of excited to build out that community. So I want to just talk a bit about what we're going to do, and this is kind of the flow of basically what we do in this webinar. It's a little bit different than the normal educator to educator webinar. Because there's a lot of stuff going on and because it's the table, we don't have a back channel. Sometimes in our educator to educator webinars, we'll do a back channel so that people can offer their own recommendations or ask questions. But there's a lot going on with this, so just feel it's a little bit better to focus just on the resources and watching. There is a way for you to engage with me, so I'll talk about that in just a second. I'll do a bit more introductions and talk about the purpose and kind of what I try to do. I do want to make this as interactive as possible, so please don't hesitate to ask me those questions. I'm here to answer as best as I can about the table and about the toolkit. Since this is our first session of the year, we're going to talk about a review of where to find some of those resources that I really think are some of the good ones that are, as far as this product goes. We'll talk about the user's guide. We are going to explore the toolkit a bit to kind of prepare us for our next session. I'm not going to do these sessions as regularly as the other webinars. These will kind of go on I don't want to say a quarterly, but not every month, just because there is just a lot of information that you can practice with, and we'll talk about that a bit more. So why do we do these webinars, and why do we do this community? And basically, really, I want to hopefully help you to better understand the table, but also sometimes we'll do make it and take it, and that's going to be the case in December. But build your skills out, share best practices, and then just network. So if you're looking for someone to network with that maybe has a table in your area, would love to be a facilitator to connect you. So let me know if you are interested in doing that. But just really getting you to use the table. I think the table is probably, besides some of you know my background. I am a former educator. I taught for close to 16 years. I was an elementary teacher, and then I was a media specialist, and for, gosh, I guess 9 years. And I actually had a smart board, I want to say probably 14, 15, maybe even 16 years ago. So I've actually used a lot of been with SMART in my professional life as an educator, but then also in this role. I was an education consultant, so I worked on developing plans and implementation strategies and best practices, all those things. And when the table first was released, I knew that it was something that we needed to really get in the classrooms because of just some of the valuable tools, the valuable ways that kids can communicate, either verbal or nonverbal. So seeing a lot of that happen, so hopefully with these strategies that I'm going to share with you will give you an opportunity to better understand and take your skills from where they're at. A lot of you I know are beginners, and that's okay. because hopefully I'm going to cover from the beginners to a little more advanced and give you strategies as well for whatever level you're at. Would love, I try to get this to be as interactive, and I'm actually, I guess I could say in my spare time, which is not much, but I am working on a PhD in learning technologies, and I've written a few papers on social presence, and it's quite interesting how one develops a presence when you're not in a face-to-face environment. And one of the things, obviously, I can't see you, and you could see me. I can turn on my webcam, and you could see me if you wanted to, but that's not as much developing a level of social presence. So I would love for it if you use that question panel to ask me questions, and then if you feel inclined, you don't have to do it today and maybe at some point, but there is a raise your hand button. So if you'd love to raise your hand, I would love it as well. You can actually do that and have a microphone and be able to ask your question to me versus typing it. So I'm connecting so you can actually, I'll show you. So I'm in my office. So hi everyone. So this is my office. I work from home. I live in the Dallas area, and I don't currently have a table at my house, but sometimes I do have a table at my house, and my husband's always so excited when I bring those products home. So it's nice because I'll get a chance to interact with them. I also wanted to remind everyone that these webinars, so if you're listening to them, you might have found the recording. So I do have a YouTube channel right here, the youtube.com/, you don't have to put user. If you just put Smart Table Friend, I think that you'll get there as well. So let me turn that webcam back off so I can make sure that I am telling you all the stuff that you need to know, and it's not hiding anything. So ask those questions. What I'd love to know first, so that I can know who my audience is in the question panel, will you tell me where you're joining from, and tell me also what your experience is. So you can just tell me where you're joining from, and then tell me what your experience is with the table. Do you consider yourself a beginner, an intermediate? You know, what level are you at? So you can just type that. It's there, that question. So Annette is joining us from New Mexico. Hi, Annette. So tell me. You can type again and tell me, you know, what your level is in there. So I'd love to know, just so I know who the audience is. Oh, good. Beginner and absolute novice. That's awesome. So hopefully what I'm going to cover today will also help you that in that phase right there. So let's see. So let's see. Katie Brown from Virginia is joining us. So technology integration, awesome. And then a little bit of novice, that's great. So sometimes what happens with these webinars, and I think this is a really good kind of way to say this, is I'll have people that, because a table can be movable, I'll have teachers that will get together that do the webinars and will actually get together in a group. It's a little tricky to be in the same place sometimes as the table, so they watch and they talk about, you know, what they're learning, kind of a side conversation maybe. I do give a certificate, so everyone that joins, whoever registered will get the certificate. So if there's a couple of you that are joining, please feel free to share that webinar. So let me see, Julie from Iowa. So you just purchased the table, so total beginner, that's awesome. So hopefully today will get you going. And Sheila is just got the table in pre-K. So thanks for giving me that. I'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully I didn't miss anyone. So thank you everyone for joining, those of you that have submitted those. We have usually a small but little mighty group that joins us for these. Okay, let's get going. So you know how to do that. ask me those questions. Please don't hesitate. If I need to review something, don't hesitate to say, hey, Heather, wait, will you review that again? Because I can't hear you. So I'm, as I said, developing that social presence. I can't see your brain, and I can't see your facial expressions that say, oh my gosh, she just went through that really fast, and I'm not really sure what she was talking about. So help me to help you, I guess, is what I want to say. So let's just get going. So the way I'm going to do this, I'm just going to, most of you are kind of novice, so and sometimes you get a product table, whatever, in your environment, and it just kind of shows up. That's actually what happened to me many, many years ago. I said to my director, hey, what is that thing? And it was a smart board, and she said, oh, you'll love it. And my next question was, hey, are we getting trained? And the well with the big pause happened, and I said, okay, thanks. So I figured it out, and go figure, I actually, many years ago, I've been doing this for about 3 or 4 years, I guess, I figured out the table and how to use it. Am I an ultimate expert? No, but I know quite a bit about the table, so I'll do, like I said, do my best to watch. Hey, Annette, oh, you have multiple users watching. That's awesome. Love that. So hi to everyone at Annette School. All right, so we're going to, because a lot of you are just beginning, I want to do a review of some things, because the table is one of the products that we have that their user's guide is probably one of the best resources that I would recommend you looking for if you haven't already done so. I don't endorse a lot of times printing things out, but this one would be something that I would, I would endorse if you need some help this way. This would be something that I would print out and take notes on it and such. So I'm going to go out to the web, and I'm going to kind of walk you through. The other thing is this file that I'm using, I will be posting it and sharing it on our learning network and sharing it back with you. So if you're seeing this and trying to write down everything, don't worry, because I'm going to share this file with you all and the resources that I them sharing today. So just trying to give you a well-rounded experience with all of this. So I went out to our website, smarttech.com. And I went into the education portal, and from here I've got a lot of options. I'm going to go to the support tab. So when I click on support, and I know it's kind of odd because you're not necessarily downloading anything, but you need to go to the software downloads page for this, to find this. So when I click on this, some of our website has changed, and you'll notice this is our previous, we're working to migrate over everything. So this takes us into our other website, which is okay. So once I'm in the software download page, I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to go all the way down to the picture of the smart table. So from here, you're going to find the smart table software. So and then you're going to find the toolkit. Now let me talk to you a bit about this. So the smart table software, you would not put this on your computer. This is the software that would go actually on your table. If you've not updated your table, even if you have a brand new table, you want to make sure that you're running version 3.1. And I'll talk about kind of a few things that to do that. You can do it 2 ways. You can, depending on if your table, you can actually get your table onto, if you've got a network, you can set it up through the Wi-Fi, or underneath the little stand, there's actually the Cat5 cable where you can actually hardwire it. So there's 2 ways to update your table if it's not version 3.1, and I'll talk about how to tell that in just a second. But you'll want to get out, and the user's guide actually walks you through this. You can get out to the desktop of the table and hook in and make sure it's on the Wi-Fi, or you can plug in and hardwire. You want to make sure that your table is at 3.1 because you're going to have the best experience with that. So that's the information about the table. The toolkit. So the toolkit has not been updated for a bit of time, so it's only version 2.6. So if you're working, and I'll show you how to tell what version yours is, if you see 2.6, then yours is the current. It is a Windows and Mac version. let's say, for example, I go and I download the table toolkit on my Mac because that's the computer I have at school. But then you know what? For some reason, I'm at home and I decide that I want to look around and see what's available in the Smart Exchange, for example, and I have a Windows computer. The software is cross-platform. So if you do something on your Windows computer, it's going to open it up on the Mac side, and then the table itself is running a Windows platform. But these two will be, they're cross-platform, so you don't have to convert anything or do anything. It just works. So those would be my two things that I would tell you that to make sure that you're up to date. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into, it doesn't matter which one because they both are going to get you to the same place, but I'm going to go into Windows right here. And I have right here, so it says 2.6 for software for Windows. If I want to, this is the software, as I said, that goes on your computer, so I could download this. But what I'm really interested in is that user's guide. So from here, if I go down to related documents, I also, if I need to, if it's my computer is struggling, it'll tell you what you need to make sure your computer has to get this version. It's not very labor intensive, but you do, if you're having some struggles, you might need to make sure that your system meets the requirements. Here it is under related documents. So there's some release notes. So if things are kind of not acting as you expected or you're having some unexpected behaviors, you might check the release notes. But the user's guide is right here. In the user's guide, as I said, if I were going to take the time to download or even to print something out, it would be this. So, and the reason is not only does it give me, so I'm going to scroll down till I get to, so if I come right here to the getting started, it's going to tell me how the software works, but here's right here is how to navigate, how to switch modes. A lot of what I'm going to cover in just kind of a high level, because I'm not on a table right now, it's going to give you those pieces, how to set up your teacher, how to connect to the internet, calibrating your table. So really some nice things of getting started, how to start and close your applications, and we'll talk a bit about that. And then, whoops, so then I can get down here, and if I go to about applications, it's gonna go through and tell me about the default applications. So this is just a very basic introduction. So that's all chapter 1. But then if I get into, so let me scroll right here. Here's the part that always kind of people ask me about. So I would definitely review all of those parts, how to get started, how to go in between, how to choose activity packs, things like that. But then the question, next step is, okay, you know what? I want to update. And I'm going to talk a bit about this, but here is working with the table toolkit. So it gives you kind of a high-level look, and then how to customize. The nice thing about the toolkit is a lot of the steps are repetitive, and if you learn the icons, they transfer between the different applications. So one of the applications I'm going to talk about today is called Hotspots. And so here is how to customize a hotspot, or hot spaces, I'm sorry, hot space. So it's going to walk you through the steps. So I'm going to do some examples today, and then you could go back and refer to this if you needed a bit more help. So this is just a very simple kind of step-by-step guide. So I encourage you to look at that to help you with some of the questions that maybe you have. So this will take you through that. I just do a review. As I said, I'll share this. So if you're connected to and you need to know whether or not your where your table is updated, when you get to when you get out and you go into, let me scroll down a bit, sorry, I should have done this. So when you get to this mode, this is called the teacher mode. And if you said, hey, I don't know what version I'm running, you can get right here on about your smart table. And when you click on that, so this is the teacher mode, and this is where you choose how many learners you're going to use. If you needed to, you do not have to calibrate your table very often. The only time I think is if you were to go over some really bumpy bricks, if they were in your environment, but we've actually carried tables in our car, set them up, and never even calibrate them. They're the new 442i. And all of the things that I'm telling you, I probably should have prefaced this, and most of the things I'm telling you about is for the 442i. If you have a 230i, which is our previous model, a lot of this will still work. Some of the calibration is different. Some of the things, connecting to the internet is a bit different. You do have to do there's a projector in those tables, so you would need to check out the 230i user's guide, but a lot of what I'm going to talk about today will get you some of the same features and functionality. Okay. All right. So let's see. Okay, so table software. So it's you should see that, if you're, like I said, if you're looking at it, then you can click on there. And when you do click on there, you're going to get, let me scroll back up. I should have put this in a bit different order. You're going to get this, and you click on technical support, and it'll tell you. Now, I'm only on this image, I only have version 3.0, and I grab a lot of pictures from different ways, and so I haven't been able to get someone to get me a 3.1 image, but it's the same process. When you're connected to the internet, you can check for updates, and it'll actually do an update right there on your computer or on the table. If for some reason you aren't connected to the internet and you can't get connected, the next thing is to go back to that previous to the website where we were at. So right here, you would go back up to, let me go back here. You would go back, if you could not, this is if you couldn't get, if you couldn't download it straight, you would go back and you would download that software from here. So this is if you can't connect to the internet, you can manually update. So this way you would download this software, but you would download the whole package to a USB, plug it into the table, so plug it into the side, and then run it through everything. So you would plug it in and the USB on the side and tell it, oh, it looks like you want to update your table, and you would go through the process. This version right here, I'm running it, this is if I'm on the table, you can actually check for updates from the table, but you do have to have the internet for it. I hope that makes sense. Once you do it on the table, it's a pretty easy process. Any USB port. Now notice I have the 230i down here. It's the same process. You would just plug it in on the side and you would update it. So hopefully that's one step in the right direction, because you'll want to have your table software updated to at least 3.0 or 3.1. There's some new features and functionality that they've put into 3.1. We just went through that and went through that. Now, we are going to talk about the toolkit. So the toolkit is what goes on your computer. I have the toolkit right here. I've got it downloaded. So I'm running on a Windows computer, but I would go to All Programs and then Smart Technologies, and just depending on what you have on your computer, then you would have Smart Table Toolkit. Now, one thing to know is that with the purchase of a table, you do get 2 licenses of Smart Notebook. So just wanted to, in case you were asking, because the Table Toolkit allows you to add Smart Notebook lessons. So you do get a couple of licenses for that. If you're inclined to want to add Smart Notebook lessons, you would add them inside of the activity packs, and we'll talk more about that. But this is what you will get. This is the Table Toolkit. You can, on your computer, you can tell which version you're running. So I went to the About in the upper right hand corner. So I went to this little About icon, and I can go to technical support, and you can see right here what version I'm running, and that's the most current version. Sometimes you'll get an Adobe message about Adobe Air. I always update those. If you can update those, that's what will help the toolkit run better. Oh. Annette, is that updated on you? Is that on your table? Annette had a question, my check for updates. It could be, that could be a firewall maybe setting. I don't know. What I probably would recommend is contacting, I can do some troubleshooting offline, but then also contacting tech support. I'm not sure why it's grayed out. It shouldn't be grayed out. I'm not really sure, but we could take that offline and see if I can help you. Okay. Oh, that's why. I think it's version 2.5. So what you're going to have to do, so this is a perfect example. So Annette has version 2.5. So what she's probably going to have to do is update. So she's going to have to manually update. So this is, let's see. So what Annette's going to have to do is update manually. So download that from, so what you're going to have to do, Annette, is download that table software from the web, put it on a USB, update, and then you'll be able to do the auto update check. I think that's because version 2.5, you couldn't do the check for updates. I think you had to have the version 2.6 or above. So try that and see if that works. I wouldn't do it right now, but if you just download it from the web and then plug in the USB, and you should not be grayed out after that. And then let me see. Okay, so yes, so and that's good. They have a good tech department. So Jennifer, that's a great question. I'm going to hold on to that for just a second, and then yes, you are going to. So we have another question about applications. So I'll talk about that in just a second, but keep the questions going because I want to make this as interactive as possible so that you understand. So we've got a question about applications. So let me go back to my file, and then I'll answer some more questions, but I'm going to answer Jennifer's question a little bit similar. So we're going to, hopefully that gets you started so that you can be updated on your table and update the updated version on the toolkit. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is using the toolkit, using the applications, and what that works, what that's like. So as you begin, a lot of you said you are beginners. So my best recommendation is to use some of the activity packs that are already pre-created before you dive into creating some. Today I'm going to talk at a kind of a high level about creating activity packs, just some real simple things. I will tell you in December session, so I'm not going to do these, like I said, every month, but December I'm going to schedule one, and it is going to be kind of a make it and take it. So it's going to be more of a deeper dive into the table toolkit. So let's though talk about the Smart Exchange. So when you're connected to the internet on your table, you can download activity packs and applications. Some of the applications you can download them and they work independently, so they're publisher content. And some of them you need to add to your application and such. So I'm going to go through as best as I can to try this. I'm also going to recommend, so back in October, I did a webinar, and I actually was working on the table software. So I'm going to recommend our YouTube channel that we have. There's an October session that really does a good job of some of what I'm going to talk to you about. But let me help you a bit so that I can answer Jennifer's question, and then also hopefully get you to a good place of being able to use the table. So so let's start off. I'm a brand new user, let's pretend, and I'm on the Smart Exchange. So those of you that haven't been to the Smart Exchange, It's exchange.smarttech.com. If you don't have a login, you just join. It's a free join. So it doesn't cost any money to join. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for, let me do fall leaves. So I'm just going to do a random big search, and I'm going to show you some of the things, the challenges that people, basically the challenges they say, oh, I can't get that to work. So the first thing is I did a search for fall leaves. I just left, I didn't refine my search, and I did that kind of on purpose because the first thing that shows up is there's 341 items. So if you I'm down here, and that's not true, because if I look down, I want to look down, and I'm going to go right here to Smart Table Activity Packs. Smart Table Activity Packs are the only thing that will, well, that's what you're looking for, is Smart Table Activity Packs. You can use notebook lessons, but they have to be part of activity packs. So notebook will run on the table, but it only runs with like a single point of contact. You want to have that multiple, like have multiple students working on the table, because that's the beauty of it. So what you would do is in December, we're going to talk about how to create these, but you would add a notebook lesson inside of an activity pack, which is part of the table toolkit. I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna open up, and I'm gonna show you that I have 20 Smart Table Activity Packs. So I see that because here's my results right here. Now, instantly you'll say, oh, well, look, there's fall and there's fall. So if you have a table 442I, anywhere that it says HD, these have been optimized for that 442I. So anytime you open up, like say this one right here, it doesn't have HD, it's going to work on either the previous version, previous model of the table, or even the 442I. It just might have some black bars on the side, and you know what, it still works. It still works great. But if you're looking for optimized activity packs, that's what the HD means. So we've spent some time to try to go through. You can even search HD and see which ones that that you want to use. I can also, from the Exchange, I can say, well, what was newest first? And here's newest first. And notice that newest first all are HD, but I lost my when I do newest first, I lost my some of my search, even though this must have something to do with fall in it, with all these searches in here. That's a lot of search terms. So, oh, it does have fall leaves. So somewhere in there that says fall leaves. So that's a way to find activity packs. We do have publisher content that works, but you definitely want to, whenever you do, so if I'm looking, I want to get maybe a jump on things, and I'm going to search December. Notice that I get a ton of things, 552, but you know what? There are only 3 that have anything to do with table. So if I say, oh, I want this, I can download it. Now, those of you that have worked on the table know that you can, so I'm going to switch down and show you a couple of things. You can preview on your table. You can preview items. The challenge is if I find this colors, I can't really tell anything about it. So I want to say, well, I can't tell whether or not that's the right activity pack that I want to use. So what I usually recommend to teachers is go to the Smart Exchange, find the activity packs that you want to use. So I could do colors in here, and then see what they're about. The beauty of using the toolkit that we're going to find out about is that you can customize. So look, I just did colors. There's 208 activity packs that have something to do with colors. And then what I would do is what I'm going to do is have to find that one. But these are all, when you do if you're on your table, all of these will show up because it's all tapping the Smart Exchange. I'm just doing it the long way so that I can see what it's about. I can do newest first. I can do, you know, so these are some new ones. I can do most downloads, most recommended. But the key is I want to make sure that it's activity packs that are there. So Jennifer had a great question. So if I found an activity pack that has, let me see exactly. So I've had trouble opening up applications I've downloaded from the Smart Exchange and checked their appropriate boxes. So do these have to be loaded on the table? And the answer is yes. So what she's talking about, so let me go back to my home, and so let me go to file type, and there's some applications. So some of the activity packs might have some applications that they've included, say, Maraquita in part of their as part of one of the little circles. So if the circles are inside of, so if I go to activity packs, these right here, these are applications. So someone might have made an activity pack and included that application, Maraquita, right here, because it's free. So what I would need to do is, so I'm just gonna show you how this works. So I've got my table, right, my toolkit. So I'm gonna build something just very simple. And what Jennifer's asking, so if I do these are already downloaded. These applications are already part of the table. So you don't have to add these. These are already, they can already read them. But if I have Maraquita, so if I download this, it's going to download. And so I'm going to have to do two things. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up. Whoops. All right. So I can only have one instance of the table. So let me close out of this. I'm not going to save it. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to, whoops, let me go here. Whoops, let me do this. So I've got this downloaded already. So let me do it this way. So I'm going to click on the download button. I don't have my activity pack or my table activity pack. I don't have the table toolkit opened. I should have just opened it up from the download button, but so that you can see this. So these are called third-party applications. I've gone through this in some previous webinars. So notice if you look down in my taskbar, I don't have the table toolkit. Now watch this. I don't have this application opened. So notice that when I clicked on that application, what it's doing is now adding, there's Maraquita. So what I have to do is I have it here, so if I build an activity pack myself, and I'm going to get into this in December some more, but I have this activity pack here. What I also have to do is I'm going to have to take this. I already have it downloaded, so I could do two things. I could go straight to the table, find that same, so I would search for Maraquita, find it here, and then download it to my table, or I could go into my documents, into my downloads, and let's see if I can find. So these are some, let's see if I can find. I have quite a few. Let's see. I wonder if it's at the very end. No. So I'll have one that will look, oh, there it is right here. So see how it says Maraquita right here? I would copy that, place that on a USB, and add it to my table. So basically what I have to do, because the table is a computer, so I have to have that application on the table, and my activity pack has to have it, and then the two will read. So Jennifer, I hope that explained it. Oh, when I go to the smart table, it won't open. So that's the steps. So I'm just going to ask, so did you create an activity pack that it's inside of an activity pack? Because it won't run, well, it may run all by itself. So what I'm going to recommend is we take your question offline and I do a bit of troubleshooting. Um, hmm. Okay, cool. So email me at ed2ed@smarttech.com and we'll take that offline. So if anyone else has some questions like that, it's probably a bit of troubleshooting that I need to ask some other questions, and so I can definitely do that. Okay, cool. All right, so that was a bit, I hope that didn't confuse people, but that's an app. This is a third-party application. It's not customizable, but you can create an activity pack that way. So some of the things are applications that you can add. I do go through those things a lot in some of my past sessions. All right, so let me get back up here. So I wanted to tell you that because a lot of people will download things and then they don't run on the table, and it's partly because they're downloading something that the table can't read. So make sure that you have table activity packs. So that's one thing. The other thing I want to tell you before we, get into a bit more of this is don't hesitate to clean your table. I've come into schools, into classrooms, and they're like icky, more than icky. They're got things on there that like, ooh, it's just yuck. So I encourage you, just use Windex. Don't use anything that has alcohol because it'll smear and it doesn't do well on the tabletop, so it needs to be alcohol-free. I have used wipes, but make sure they are alcohol-free wipes. So I know there's wipes that you can buy. Those are okay. I have actually gone in and taken some soap and water from a bathroom, put it on a rag, not anything real soppy. The table is sealed, so you're like, if somebody were to get sick or somebody spilled something, the table is sealed, so it's not going to get in. But you wouldn't want to spray directly on the table. Plus, you want to have the table off because remember, it's going to track anything. It's got cameras. So don't forget to clean your table. Have your teachers, don't be afraid to clean them. Kids, put things on tables and use them as to store things, and just they get grimy and dirty. So take that time to clean them. It won't hurt. I think what I'm going to do, we've already talked a bit about some of these things. Just, choosing these, you can choose these. This is your student mode. This is your teacher mode. So make sure that, to get between the two, you can plug in a USB, or you do what's called the 5-finger thing. Like a student wouldn't do this, but I would check to make sure that a student's not watching, and basically in the center of your table you just hold and you get a little cog there. You have to take a bit of time to practice. A USB gets you in between this modes, and it's the easiest thing to do. You just plug in a USB depending on which mode you're in. It goes from the teacher mode, it goes to the student mode, or vice versa. So this is just a more advanced way to do, if you didn't have a USB, it just needs to be a regular old USB. So the user's guide will take you through some of those steps. I think just because of the time, some of this I'll talk about. This is, just choosing applications. The table does, if some of you are sharing tables, you might have seen this clipboard. The table has a way that you can actually create folders. So if you were sharing the table with 3 teachers, you can actually download or add applications or table activity packs. If I had like Mrs. Lamb's folder or Mrs. Jones folder, then I don't have to search all through. So basically what you do is you drag, like if I wanted this, what is that, cogwheels, I could drag that to my clipboard, put everything in my clipboard, and then drag. You'll copy them, so there's little option button highlights. You'll copy them and drag them into your folder. I would encourage you to practice that. If you download something from the Smart Exchange, you can add things from your USB. So if I created an activity pack, I would go to the second tab right here and add things from your USB, and then you can download straight from the Smart Exchange. So a minute ago, Jennifer was asking about like downloading third-party applications. So you'd want to go that Maraquita, if we didn't want to go through all those steps, we could find it, that Maraquita, and make sure it's on the table, and then I'd have a USB that maybe had that activity pack from here. A lot of this is practicing on the table. It's very repetitive. All right, let's go. I'm going to talk just a bit about building, and as I said, in December I'm going to do a make it and take it guide, or a take it kind of session. So if you want to see more how to do some of these, but I wanted to give some of you are ready to kind of the next steps. The reason I also took you through how to find activity packs is I'm a big believer of not recreating the wheel. So when I taught, like, I would find something and I would customize it to meet my needs. So I'm going to do a search for, whoops, I don't want to do fall search. I'm going to do fall leaves. Or I could do September or whatever. Remember, I'm going to go to activity packs. And I found this one right here, and I was kind of intrigued by it. So I actually already downloaded this because I thought, when you see some of these activity packs, you might get a little more detail, but I was intrigued by it enough to say, hey, I'm going to download it. It's September, but it's kind of fall. So I've already got it downloaded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open. I'm not going to save this one, and I'm going to show you. So on my desktop, I have a folder that right here. So I already downloaded it. So what I'm going to pretend is I'm going to pretend I'm you, and I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to look at this. I've got the toolkit on my computer. I'm going to download this, and I'm going to give you kind of a high-level look at the toolkit, and then I'm going to deeper dive. So first of all, these are applications. So applications, so if I think about the hierarchy, so I have an activity pack, then I have applications, and then, so these are applications. If I go to Edition Plus, these are actually activities. So the hierarchy, let me go back. I have applications, and I have an activity. That's what I have right here. So, so this whole thing right here is called an activity pack. Then I have applications, and then within each application, I have activities. So if I'm looking at this and I know my students, and I've gone through a bit of this, and I know my students, maybe I don't want this paint activity. Maybe I don't know, it says draw leaves. Maybe that's not really one of my objectives. What I can do quite easy is just go in here, and that's called paint, and I'm going to deselect it, and it says paint will be permanently removed. Do you want to continue? Yep. So what I've just done is I've customized that a bit. And then I can look at it, another one. And so I can make this be, maybe I don't want anything except for, maybe I only want this activity or this application. So you can customize these however it's going to meet your needs. So don't worry that, you know, they're there for you to download. So don't worry about customizing for somebody else. Customize them for your needs. So now I have 5 applications. So if I take a bit of a review and I go, let me go into this hot spaces just a second. So you can see that it's fall holidays and September close. So I'm going to talk through this and just give you a really high-level look. And as I said, I would go back into that user's guide, and then I would look at some of those past sessions of my YouTube, because I go through how to build these. And then in December, we're going to build something. But basically, it's very easy. So I say, okay, it says creativity. So I'm going to click plus, and I'm going to say this is my test activity. And I'm just going to, there's my test activity right there. Step 2, it's a background. So I need a background. These same icons are in the whole toolkit. So if I wanted to, I could choose, if I wanted a background, I could choose a background. I made a background right here. You don't have to have this background. I made a background using PowerPoint. So there's my background. So, and I just made a background as simple. So the way that that all of these activities are, so this has a green background. This has a green background. You can make solid color backgrounds. I like to, depending on the application, I like to create something that it's like a guide. So the background is like if you were in PowerPoint and you had a background and everything kind of moves on top. That's the same thing as the Toolkit does. Everything moves on top are the activities. So I've got this is my background. I have a couple of things that I can do. Step 3, it says set up the activities. So the first thing I have to do is I have to come in here and I have to define the space. So this is the trickiest part of this whole application. So notice, okay, so I didn't get that really good, but that's okay because I can go back to the arrow and I can move it. You can't stretch it or do anything, so if you don't like it, you just have to delete it and try again. And then you get just kind of better at it. So I'm just going to eyeball it. So I'm going to go back. If you're watching this in a computer lab, it's going to take a bit of time. Granted, I've been doing this for some time, so I get a little better. But basically, you're trying to set up a space that's hot. So if I go here, when I mean a space that's hot, so I've got, if I preview this, so there's a preview button. This is what it would look like on the table. Okay? So they have winter holidays and they have fall holidays. Now notice that they just made a label with fall holidays. If you wanted to, I could have made a background that said fall holidays and winter holidays, just like my example. So what the kids would do is they would drag in all of the application or all the icons that work, and that's how it would work. The second one is, see, they did the same thing. Let me go back one. So you can see, so you can practice and see. So notice the difference. This is a label. So let's look at my example, how I was doing it. I like to make a background instead of putting a label in. So notice I have fall counting. So I've got, I could have little pictures. So I'm just going to do leaves. Let me try to find one that I want. Let me try fall leaves because I know there's some fall leaves that I want. Oh, I guess I didn't like that. Let me search. Let's see. So there's some leaves that are kind of fallish. Or fallish looking. There's 93. Maybe I'll hit this. Okay. Maybe not. So it just works that way. So I'm going to show you something that I've done. All right. So I've got a picture. I'll show you just look what I did right here. I created this. And notice I have the original. So here's the kind of a cool thing. I'm going to take this and I'm going to crop it. So I have all the images that I want. These came from the Exchange. I just don't know where they're at right this second. So if I click OK, notice what happens. So there's one. So I could do that again. This is kind of some of the stuff that I would do. So I need 5 of these. And I can't clone, I can't copy. So there's 2. So I have 5. So I'm going to go through and I would do that 5 things. Then I would come back here and I would open this back up. And this time I'm going to take and I'm going to do, so if you had, let's say you had words on a worksheet or something, or images. So that one matches that. So I would have that 2 times. The last thing I have to do is I have Endregion. So this is where everything would end. And then I have to tell it where do I want them to start. Maybe I want them all to be in the center. So, okay. So hopefully that made a bit of sense. It's probably going really fast. But it's once you start these activities, it It's just repetitive over and over. So I would have all of my hot spaces here. So I could do this. And then what I would do is, so I would have all 4 of these. Then when I preview it, okay, so I'm going to flip through that I'm not going to go to this one. And I could reorder these if I wanted to. That's a nice thing. You can delete. So notice how those start right here. And then I can go here and I get the little marchy ants here, here. And then ding, ding, ding. That was the end of it. So pretty simple. The last thing I'm going to tell you on this is there's this enable visual feedback. So what happens with kids is they get pretty sharp pretty fast if they're not already there. And sharp being smart. So what kids have a tendency to do is they have a tendency just to drag something in and not really pay attention to where they're placing the stuff. So if you uncheck that right there, I'm going to move this one up. So notice how I moved that with those arrows. Now let me preview this. All right, so now that was the first one. So if you don't like some of the activities, you can delete them and customize it. Now watch this. Notice that it didn't get those marchy ants. But this one only had 1, so that's it. But watch when I put this in here. You see what's happening? So the kids can't just flick things in. If you find an activity pack and they haven't deselected that, you can go back and do that and change that. So there's a lot of activities packs that have this here that people say, gosh, Heather, I wish that I could, I wish that it didn't have that visual indicator. Like, download that activity pack, open it up on the table toolkit, and uncheck that. Then your kids have to answer everything, and then they'll find, they're not just going to flick those things into the right place. All right, so we're almost out of time, but I wanted to just tell you that hopefully that gave you a start, because I know some of you are novice. There's more, that's a very, very high level, quick, fast time. When you go into these, a lot of them are very similar. So if I go in, it might be beneficial to kind of dissect them, see what they're about. So if I preview this one, hot spots works very similar to hot spaces, except where you have the start and end position, it makes that little yellow dot. So if there's something that you don't like, or maybe something that's not right, feel free. If I said, oh, you know what, I don't want activity 3, I can delete that and then just save it and then add it to your table. You would need to add it manually, but you could. We'll talk more about speech options in December. We'll talk about how to add, you can actually record your voice so that kids can, and this one is the computer is reading it, but you can actually record. So if I wanted to, I could record my voice with those activities, and then it's me saying head, or me saying shirt, or me saying pants. So the toolkit is a very simple, it's just repetitive steps. If you feel like you want to customize, please do. I would encourage you to check out the past webinar sessions. I'm also in the follow-up. I'm going to send some success stories. So there's a couple of this very clever table. They've got some cool ideas. And we've got a table, or a bunch of tables in Tacoma. And Sherry DeSoe had some really great success. So if you're looking for some success stories, also what she's done is she's got a ton of table activity packs right here. So this, and all of these, she's given the permissions to download all of these. So these might be a variation. So these tables are working with severely and profound students that have anywhere from autism, they're in wheelchairs, so she's customized a bit that she's found on the Smart Exchange, or added her own based on their IEPs and such. So I will be including that in the follow-up that I'll be sending out. I hope that for some of you that might have gone really fast, and I hope that was okay. In December, I encourage you to come with your table toolkit, and we will look at diving into how to build some more. I will be sending out I'll share this file. I have a ton of resources, so please don't hesitate to reach out. Jennifer, please send me an email. Don't forget to find the Smart Table session. October, really encourage you to look at that, because I went through on the table, so it'll give you a good overview. In the file, I've got some other things. I've got a cool planning guide, so if you want to, we'll talk more about using the planning guide in this resource. So I hope that gave some of you a place to start. I hope that I can help you. If you have any secondary questions, please email me. This is just a general email that I use, ed2ed@smarttech.com. You could email me at heatherlamb@smarttech.com. I will be in December doing that Make It and Take It session, so I'll provide you a bunch of things that I just showed today, and then you won't have to come up with stuff, basically. I'll give you an activity pack and we'll build it together. So hopefully that helped you to get started. Let me know how I can help you. If you have other questions that I didn't answer today, keep them coming, and I will look forward to seeing you practice. And between now and December 16th, ask me those questions and be watching for that follow-up. So I will be posting the session on the info page. I'm going to get that updated this next couple of weeks. So thank you all for spending a bit of your day with me. Sheila, the new key, if you will email me offline, I think they're generic, but I have to find out how to get a key. So they're generic, they're not anything special. So if you just have one table, let me do some digging, but if you'll email me, I can find out who to contact for that. And I guess you have a 230i, so a lot of what I covered, some of the, the very basic things will work. So yeah, email me, and I look forward to seeing you again on December 16th. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks, everyone.